Hey guys, it is Darren, your host. Welcome back to the Touch MBA podcast. This week, I brought on Wedad Sunny from the National University of Singapore MBA program, perennially ranked as one of Asia's top MBAs. But we want to go beyond the ranking. So in this conversation, we talked about what makes the NUS MBA unique. Wedad gives a lot of great application tips as well on what they're looking for and how you can improve your chances there. And we close our conversation with career resources available to NUS MBA students. So I hope those of you looking at Singapore as a possible MBA destination or even Asia benefit a lot from this show. The last episode we did with NUS is over a decade old, so it's about time that we got finally an updated podcast with the NUS MBA program. Just want to remind you guys that we offer free school selection help at touchmba.com. That's the difference we're trying to make in this space, is help you guys shortlist best fit business schools, help you guys make the best MBA investment. And we have a whole process behind that. So if you want to get free school selection help and some tips on how you can improve your profile, go head over to touchmba.com. We also have a very comprehensive Singapore MBA program guide where we compare NUS to other top programs in Singapore, which I think could be very helpful for you. And I'll link to that guide in the show notes. All right, so let's get straight to my conversation with Wedad Sunny from the NUS Business School MBA program. Here we go. It is my pleasure to introduce the next guest to the Touch MBA podcast. She is the Deputy Director and Head of Marketing and Admissions for MBA programs at the National University of Singapore, or NUS Business School, at National University of Singapore. Wedad Sunny, welcome to the Touch MBA podcast. It's a pleasure to finally have you on the show.
Thank you, Darren. It's a pleasure to be here.
So Wedad, would you first, if it's okay, would you mind sharing with our audience like what you do at NUS Business School? Give us a little more detail beyond your title.
Yeah, of course. So I look after marketing and admissions for our 4 MBA programs. So we have a full-time and part-time NUS MBA, and we have 3 executive MBA programs. So that really keeps me on my toes. So me and my team, we look after the end-to-end, right? From marketing our programs, getting the messaging right, reaching out to the right audiences in the right places, to bringing in the quality candidates onto the program through the admissions process, looking at ways that how we can improve and make the admissions process less painful for candidates, and how we can improve efficiencies as well internally, streamline our operations. So yeah, that's what I do in a nutshell.
All right. So you're the perfect person to ask this very difficult and first question that I ask all the great programs that come on our show. But what makes the NUS MBA unique from the dozens of other top MBA programs around the world?
Okay, so we pride ourselves in delivering a program, an MBA program that's globally recognized, yet has a strong Asia focus and is highly immersive, right? So firstly, the NUS MBA offers highly tailored opportunities for our students to grow, both professionally and personally. We offer what most schools don't. Firstly, a fully integrated experiential learning curriculum that includes credit-bearing courses. We also offer an entire ecosystem, and this includes opportunities to work in startups, interact with industry through case competitions, industry networking sessions, conferences, mentorship programs, internships, and so on. Students can also immerse themselves in the larger ecosystem of the university. This means they can take advantage of cross-faculty electives and learning opportunities outside of the classroom. So secondly, the unique duration of the full-time program, right? 17 months. We feel this gives our students just the right amount of time to take advantage of the multitude of opportunities that we have. And this helps them maximize their personal and professional development. It is shorter than the 2-year programs, and some believe that this takes them out of the job market for a bit too long. So we feel that we've hit the sweet spot there in terms of the program duration. Thirdly, we have strong partnerships with prestigious business schools and networks around the world. This gives our students access to opportunities beyond Singapore and gain valuable international exposure. So, for example, we offer double degree programs with schools in Asia, Europe, and the US, including the Peking University, Guanghua School of Management, HEC Paris, and Yale School of Management. We also offer the Global Exchange Program, where our students can choose to spend a full semester at one of our 60-plus partner universities around the world. And they include schools like Kellogg, Yale, London Business School, IE, SEEBS, and more. And we are also the only global network for advanced management member schools in Singapore. And through this, our students are able to take part in a host of exciting opportunities, from investment competitions to electives that they can take on top of what we have available in the program, and exchanges as well.
Yeah. So I think listeners of the show know by now, well, hopefully they know that I used to work for a top Singapore business school a decade ago. Mm-hmm. I worked in Singapore for, 7, 8 years in the 2000s. And I think since then, I feel personally, my personal perception is that Singapore has really exploded in popularity and in recognition around the world for, being this great place to do business, for having great living standards and systems, mm-hmm. et cetera, being a safe place for investing, all these things. I'd just like you to give a little more context on the National University of Singapore. If no one has been to Singapore before, kind of what the reputation is of the university for someone who maybe has never been to Singapore. What is sort of the brand of the university?
The brand of Singapore first, right? Maybe I can answer that. So yeah. It's really, you talk about, very cliche East meets West, right? But Singapore is really an amalgamation of that, right? It's very rich melting pot, again, to use another cliche. But really, it's so diverse, right? It's so diverse, yet very Asian, yet very cosmopolitan and very modern. So that's a Singapore brand. It's very well connected to the rest of Asia, the rest of the world. So I think that's the NUS brand as well, right? We talk about leading from Asia, and that's been our mission, vision statement. So NUS is very well placed with its rich heritage, relationships and partnerships with the rest of Asia. Singapore is an ideal springboard to the rest of Asia. So what do we mean by that, right? Because we offer the location here offers convenient access to the rapidly growing markets in Asia, including China, India, and the rest of the ASEAN region. We have many regional headquarters that have set up operations here. They're attracted to our open and competitive economy, our infrastructure, our favorable business environment, our digital connectivity, and I mentioned earlier, our vibrant multicultural society. So all this makes for a very compelling place to live and work and study your MBA. Singapore has also become a very popular hub for innovation and entrepreneurship in Asia, despite our relatively small size as well. It's home to more than 20 unicorns. And by the way, 9 of them are NUS-supported startups. So we have NUS Enterprise here, which plays a very integral role in providing support and an environment for startups. And Singapore now, some of students are quite heavily involved in that. I can talk more about that later, tapping into this entrepreneurial ecosystem that we offer.
Yeah. So, I'm wondering how that unique positioning of Singapore and kind of its role in the world, has that affected academically where the NUS Business School is strong? I know you guys have 9 specializations, mm-hmm. but I'm just wondering, where do you think you guys really stand out academically with their curriculum?
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, we offer many opportunities and resources as well, and just the right amount of time, right, for our students to take advantage of these opportunities to develop themselves personally and professionally. So I think firstly, where NUS MBA stands out is we offer a holistic and transformative experience. In recent years as well, we've dialed up our focus on experiential learning further. And we hear this from a lot of candidates that we meet and interview for the program as well, they're drawn to this focus and emphasis on experiential learning. So maybe I can share a bit more detail, right? So firstly, we offer a unique dual core foundation that covers both academic and experiential courses. Our academic core typically, cover the fundamental MBA courses, such as corporate strategy, finance, marketing, operations, analytics, leadership. And then we have our experiential core, right? So there are three courses that form this core. Launch Your Transformation, which is a communications boot camp that starts right at the launch of the program. The MBA Survival Kit and the MBA Consulting Project. So these courses take our students beyond the typical classroom. They help our students build qualities that are highly sought after by recruiters. Problem solving, critical thinking, teamwork, communication, adaptability, and other interpersonal skills. And then also what's also quite compelling is our students have the flexibility to customize their MBA learning pathway. So you talked about, the wide number of electives and specializations that we offer. So in recent years, we've added new specializations in the areas of digital business, innovation and entrepreneurship, analytics and operations. So students have the flexibility to choose to specialize in one area, or they can pick and mix, right? Choose electives from these different specialization areas according to where they see their gaps are, where they want to deepen their learning in. And then for those who are interested in gaining hands-on experience in a startup environment, we have experiential electives such as Tech Launch. It's a unique course offered with the NUS Institute for Engineering Leadership. So with this program, we see students working in cross-disciplinary teams, and they're each assigned a patented technology with the potential for commercialization. And then we have enterprise development, for example. So this introduces the process of value creation in a corporate setting. And our students who do this course, they get to experience the innovation process through close interaction with enterprises, and they get exposure to techniques and frameworks for market validation, business model innovation, technology, and product commercialization. And then there's frugal innovation. I can go on, but there are lots of exciting electives that we offer that our students find valuable, whether they have entrepreneurial passions or intrapreneurial pursuits in mind.
In terms of that experiential learning and curriculum, I'm wondering, how big a role the internships play in that, and do a large percentage of your full-timers do that internship during the summer or the special terms, I think you guys call them, as well as I'm also curious about all those exchange relationships you mentioned, whether most of the students are doing that in the latter, say, third of the program, or how the exchange is worked into the program.
Sure. So firstly, the internships, right? So there are, throughout the program, throughout the 17-month long duration of the program, there are 2 or 3 different timings where students can pursue internship opportunities. So we offer internship opportunities, the credit-bearing ones, through our Best Careers Office. But quite a number of our students pursue internship opportunities as soon as they step foot on campus.
Oh, wow.
And they're already part of the student clubs, and they're reaching out to alumni, and they're reaching out to companies here. And quite a number of them pursue internship opportunities on their own. So they have the flexibility to pursue internships part-time or full-time, semester-long ones, right? So this can be done throughout the program. I would recommend it right at the start, but at least after the first semester. Yes. And then the exchange programs then take place from semester 2 onwards. So our students, it's a reciprocal agreement with our partner schools around the world. And then students submit their choices for the exchange schools of their choice, right? So they get to choose, if I'm not wrong, up to 3. I'm glad to share that our students will get one of the choices for sure. And yeah, and they get to go for the semester-long exchanges. And I think another interesting fact that a lot of our part-time students don't know is they can also pursue exchange opportunities. So we also offer short exchange programs, and these cater to larger groups of students, like 20, for example. And yeah, so they get to go to partner universities in the region and sometimes other parts of the world as well. Like, for example, I think about 1 or 2 years ago, there was a group that went to Germany. And these opportunities are available to all our students, part-time and full-time alike.
And what is the size of the full-time program? And could you also talk a little bit about the student clubs? Like, it seems like they play a pretty big role in the career efforts as well.
Yeah, I'd love to. So the size of the cohort first, so we have about 120 full-time students, and they come from all around the world. And we have about 60 and up to 100 part-time students. Yeah. And let me talk about our MBA student clubs, right? So they serve to amplify the learning experience further. So what we see, we have our student leaders who work with alumni and corporate partners to take charge of enriching the learning experience for the entire cohort. We have activities that are organized by students. So the student clubs are entirely student-led, right? With some support given by the school. So some of the activities include fireside chats, workshops, talks. These clubs give students great opportunities, valuable opportunities to pursue new interests, deepen their domain knowledge, explore career pathways, and build strengthen connections with industry practitioners in our academy as well, who are also very involved in the student club ecosystem. So now we have a total of about 12 student clubs. So they range from industry-focused ones, the consulting club, technology club, finance, entrepreneurship, energy, marketing, and healthcare. And then we also have general interest ones, diversity and inclusion, sustainability, ethics, and impact, for example.
Yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, what did I miss? Did I miss anything about the program? Maybe when you're going on roadshows and you're talking, right, to candidates all over the world, maybe something that people don't know about the NUS MBA program that you just wish they knew more about? Yeah, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything in terms of the curriculum.
I think when speaking to students and alumni now, and I have a point about this later as well. So when I speak to students and alumni about the experience here on the NUS MBA, they're always surprised at how diverse the diversity they get on the program. Our full-time cohort, for example, while we attract majority of candidates and students from Asia, and they come from a wide range of backgrounds and industries, right? From technology, engineering, finance, marketing, and consulting. And then there's a long tail of other industries as well, non-profit, e-commerce, energy, and so on. And they also come from a wide range of age as well, because the part-time and the full-time cohort, they come together to share electives and other activities outside of the classroom. And our part-time cohort is even more diverse in terms of age range, right? And our students are able to tap into this diversity to enhance their learning. So we provide deliberate opportunities for our students to work in diverse groups, diverse teams, so they can gain as much as possible from this rich exchange of ideas and insights.
So kind of changing gears, Wedad, and talking about admissions and scholarships. And I'm sure our listeners' ears are going to perk up when they hear, oh my gosh, admissions and how to get into NUS. What are the fit qualities you're looking for from applicants to get into this selective program?
Okay, so beyond fit qualities that are typically sought after across MBA programs in general, right? Like, for example, clear and strong motivation, strong communication skills, strong leadership potential, great career trajectory, and so on. So there are other soft qualities that we look for. So firstly, energy. As our bias dean, Jochen words, he always says, right, you need to have energy in order to move things. So we're looking for students with potential. Yeah. So we want students who can actively advance their learning experience. They have the energy to do that. Students who can actively contribute to the learning experience for the cohort. For example, by taking on leadership roles in student class. So secondly, resourcefulness. So we offer plenty of learning, networking, personal, professional, and career development opportunities on the program. So if you think of the NUS MBA as a platform, right, that provides you with all of these rich resources within the program, within the wider business school and the university ecosystem. So it's really up to you to connect the dots and actively pursue the right opportunities and even open doors to new ones. And then the third quality we're looking for is curiosity. So an MBA education is about exploring new ideas and concepts, right? Asking questions, challenging assumptions, seeking deeper insights. So curiosity can help students develop and sharpen their critical thinking and problem-solving skills. But it also helps them stay open-minded, right? And be open to embracing change and develop a growth mindset.
I love your answer. And I think you gave some really good hints in terms of, ways applicants can kind of show these traits as well. Mm-hmm. Let me actually just ask you about the first part of your answer, which is when you mentioned clear and strong motivation and a clear trajectory. Mm-hmm. So one question I have that I often get from listeners is like, how clear does my career goal have to be? Mm-hmm. Right? Because I think that's kind of maybe a big part of this, for example. Mm-hmm. Like, are you expecting candidates to apply with like knowing what industry function, geography they want to be in? Is that what you mean by clarity? Or please, I just want to give you the stage and kind of unpack that.
I think it's a great question. So an MBA, first and foremost, is an opportunity that you do once in a lifetime, right? To explore how you can better yourself and better your opportunities, right? So a clear plan, like to say, with a clear goal, what role you want to play and all that can help, because it can help you then pick and choose the right opportunities that you want to pursue within the program, like courses, for example, and the kind of knowledge that you're looking for, the kind of connections you want to build. But that's not necessarily true for all candidates that come into an MBA program, right? Because they might have a few things in mind and they might still be unsure about where they want to be headed. So it's not necessary for a candidate to demonstrate that. We are also looking for candidates who can demonstrate a recognition of where the gaps are and what their strengths are, right? And how potentially they could tap into those strengths to make a deeper impact in their lives.
So what I'm getting from that answer is you're really looking for a sense of self-awareness, mm-hmm. and maybe even while having a plan and a goal or a hypothesis about what they want to do with the NUS MBA, to just have kind of a real picture of where they're at, kind of where they want to go. And maybe they don't know all the answers, but they have a decent idea of kind of where they stand and how the program could benefit them. Does that sound, or am I just putting words into your mouth?
Yeah, no, yes. Yes, that's right. And also a recognition that they have the motivation to and a plan to maximize, get the most from the MBA experience. I think that's important.
Absolutely. So when you say plan, like, again, I'm going to dive into this a little bit. Do you mean like which clubs they're going to join, kind of which competitions they want to take part of, which classes they're eager to take, or what they're going to do at NUS, or can it be more general than that? Like, I just want to do, I want to do all the entrepreneurship things like NUS, MBA offers, like that's my focus.
Yeah. So I think it's very important. You do an MBA once in your life. I think it's important that you look into what the program offers in a lot of detail, right? And not just be drawn to the brand name or the recognition that the program offers. So I think that's very important. So we do look for candidates who have researched the program well, spoken to students and alumni, to really understand what they can get from the program and what makes the program different from other programs that they're considering.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, answer your question?
Yes. And then for you personally, like what makes someone really jump off the page when you're looking at his or her application and make you like, oh man, I really want to interview, right? This applicant.
Yeah. So I think firstly for me, a well-prepared application, which goes without saying, right? And authenticity. The ones that stand out from others are those with personal stories about their motivations and aspirations, the ones that can convey a deep reflection of what drives them, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and how they think the NUS MBA can help them become their better future selves. So yeah, authenticity is key.
So what would make someone sound more like less authentic than someone else? Is it that, and I don't mean to make this sound like super theoretical. I mean, I really mean it to help both sides, right? Both my listeners and you, get better applications and better essays, right? Does authenticity mean like, oh, I'm falling short here, and that's kind of showing some vulnerability? Or maybe you have a different idea of what authenticity, really, what type really grabs you,
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think firstly, it's admissions officers go through so many applications and so many essays, right? So we do see quite a lot of cookie-cutter answers, very generic responses to why do an MBA. So we're looking for motivations that go deeper than that. It could be vulnerability. It could be something that really makes the story and experiences unique. It can be many things, right? Just avoid cookie-cutter answers.
Okay. Yeah, and I don't know if you guys are going to keep this essay, but one of your essays in years past was how have people, events, or situations in your life influenced who you are today? And that's, I think, a pretty good prompt to be authentic. Can I ask you about just some specific parts of the application, kind of rapid fire questions? So GMAT or GRE, does it matter? Like, would you prefer GMAT, or are they both equal in your eyes?
We don't have a preference.
Okay.
In our eyes, yeah.
Perfect. So
and
no
for
preference.
part-time students, we do offer the option of doing the executive assessment if they need a certain number of years of work experience.
Okay, got it. And then in terms of references, do you have any preferences there with references? I mean, I guess the usual preference would be a boss that knows you very well, that can speak concretely about your skills and your temperament and your character, stuff like that.
I think at the end of the day, it's about someone who's worked very closely with you and seen you deliver results. That can be, if it's a boss, sometimes bosses can be quite far removed from the team and from you. It could be a very close project partner, for example. So someone in a professional capacity who can comment on your commitment to the work delivered, what you did to add value, your strengths.
And that could be from, if someone's volunteering for an organization, that it could be from that sphere as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Great. And then in terms of the interviews, I know you extend, it's like a 30-minute sort of, virtual interview with most applicants. I bet many are very intimidated by that. Maybe could you tell us a little bit about what the format is and who does the interviews, who conducts the interviews?
Sure. Yes. We like to remind candidates at the start of the interview to not be nervous. It's a casual conversation. It is an opportunity for us to get to know them better because they've put in all this effort to prepare for their applications, very well written, thoughtful essays. But it's really an opportunity for us to get to know them better, to hear from them, to also see how they think on their feet, and also to give them an opportunity to share with us anything that they have missed out in their essays and in their application. So yes, it's think of it as a casual conversation.
Okay, but think on your feet sounds kind of scary. So is that like what do you think about this company that was in the news 3 days ago, or is that more just kind of again really trying to plug in the holes of your knowledge of the applicant or?
Yeah, I think firstly, definitely about plugging in the holes in the application if they do see any. Secondly, it's really to see how what their awareness of the world is. So it could be a generic question around, what's something happening in the world that right now that excites you and has tremendous potential to change and drive, change for the better, for example. So it's not a test question like, what do you think this company has done and how would it impact that industry? Because this is not an academic admissions interview, but more a holistic type of interview to get to know the candidate better.
Got it. So questions on perspective and got it. What else? Oh yeah, of course. I want to ask you about scholarships. Could you tell us a bit about you're running the admissions team, like what's kind of your philosophy? How do you view scholarships? And of course, what applicants should know about improving their chances of winning some funding potentially?
Yeah, so we do offer a wide range of merit-based scholarships. I think you can look at our website to look at the range available. We do generally award scholarships to outstanding candidates. It's not just based on their academic performance. We look at all aspects of the application, including how well they do during the interview, the admissions interview. We will also look at their motivation and potential to give back to the MBA community. I think that's very important. So one technical thing that some candidates often overlook is that test score, right? Either a GMAT, GRE, or GPA. It's mandatory for scholarship consideration.
Okay. Yeah.
And another thing I'd like to highlight is that we also award scholarships on a rolling basis. So it's quite common that candidates may receive their offer of a place in the program first, and the scholarship is being offered at a later stage. So don't panic. There's still plenty of time until the admission cycle closes for scholarship decisions to be announced.
Got it. But I think you guys actually encourage applicants to apply by the deadline too, right?
We do.
To qualify for the scholarships, which is in January, I believe. That's
right. So end of January. So we encourage applicants to apply for scholarships earlier so that we can also then make the decisions earlier and announce them earlier, because MBA students typically, the full-time ones that are uprooting themselves and all that, they have to plan the finances well in advance. But sometimes we do get applicants that come in a little bit later and demonstrating a real need as well as, very strong potential to be reviewed. So there will still be some scholarships being awarded at a later stage, but the bulk of the scholarships will be awarded earlier.
Oh, there. Okay. And I mean, are the scholarships generally, I don't remember seeing, I think you had a few full tuition scholarships, but also most of them are partial. And those partial ones are what, maybe 10 to 20%? Is that right? Okay. Just want to give people an idea of how much funding they could get. I forgot to ask about the GMAT. So I think your average last class was 670. And I'm wondering, are there any minimums that applicants should be aware of, whether that's, quant or verbal score, or AWA?
Yeah, we get asked a lot.
Of course.
Our students, our candidates are very interested in GMAT or GRE score. What we like to tell them is there is no minimum. We don't look at just the score alone. We have a very balanced view when we evaluate candidates. So some with more years of work experience and with very unique experiences, sometimes because they have left school for a lot longer, right? But and some of them might have lower GMAT scores or GRE scores or test scores. Don't worry, we will evaluate your application holistically. I think one thing to look at as well is the averages of test scores, right? In different countries vary quite greatly. So while the average that you see on our website is an average of our entire student cohort, but the average in each country is quite different. So pay attention to that as well.
Yeah.
And aim to score, as well as you can, considering the average scores that are attained in your country where you're from.
I'm really glad you mentioned that. And I have mentioned it a few times on the show, but as a former admissions person myself, you can actually see like the average score of GMAT takers from your country, for example. And some countries have a higher average score than others. And unfortunately, when you're putting together a class from a lot of different places, you wouldn't want everyone to be from Singapore, for example, in your MBA program. So you are, in a sense, kind of competing against people from your own nationality to some extent, right, for that GMAT piece. So I think that's very helpful advice. And I'll put a link to the reports that people can see for that. Any just last tips? I think we've covered a lot of ground, but yeah, any just last tips on how applicants can improve their chances of standing out?
I've got a few points here. So I think typically, right, candidates will look at will focus on their application, the essays and the CVs. And it almost becomes like a job interview sometimes or job application. But as I mentioned earlier, doing an MBA is an opportunity of a lifetime. You do it once. So it really applying to an MBA really offers you a chance to reflect deeply on your motivations, where you want to be headed in the future, not just from a career standpoint, but also from a personal contributor to society standpoint. So at the end of the day, we're looking for candidates who can contribute to the learning community and bring with them rich and diverse perspectives, right? So crafting a compelling essay is one. We talked about how we should try the best to clearly articulate their motivations, goals, how the program aligns with their aspirations. We want to see self-awareness, how they're able to reflect on past experiences, how they're able to convey a strong sense of purpose, right? So all this comes across in the essay. I think secondly, highlight unique experiences. So try to demonstrate how the skills and experience that they've acquired can further enrich the diversity in the learning experience for the cohort. And thirdly, it's great when we see candidates, when we interview them, that they're really engaged with the NUS MBA community. For example, we attended an MBA fair, an information session, or connected with our current students or alumni, and even with our admissions reps, right? Because we offer plenty of opportunities to do this with various things that take place. And this really gives them an opportunity to gain first-hand insights into the program and determine whether the NUS MBA is the right fit for them.
I think there's a lot of great tips there. I just want to highlight one, not just to talk about your unique experiences, but talk about your unique experiences framed as a possible contribution to the class. I think that's often a missing link sometimes. So I think that's a really good tip. Thank you so much for kind of opening the door a little bit and taking us inside your admissions process. I just like to close the interview with career talk. Obviously, a huge reason why people are applying to your program. So yeah, another very open-ended question. What makes NUS MBA special from a careers perspective?
Right, thanks for that question. So we have a comprehensive and balanced approach to career development here on the NUS MBA. So think of it as like a rich platform of resources, right, that students can tap into to plan, recalibrate their career goals. So starting with our Biz Careers office, so we offer a wide range of services to prepare students for their careers post-MBA. And these includes career counseling, career profiling. We have a career resource center, for example, that provides a wide range of career materials, DIY kits and resume, cover letter writing, books on personal development skills, and recruitment brochures from hiring organizations and more, right? So students are free to pop by the Career Resource Center anytime during office hours to access these resources. We have NUS Talent Connect, and this is a platform for students where they can personalize their profile, view internships, opportunities, job postings, and so on. And as you know, with career development officers, we always have recruitment activities happening throughout the year, throughout the program. So this comprises recruitment presentations on campus, industry panel discussions, and this can help our students identify, get to know firm's culture, working style, and so on, right? So that we can assess whether that organization, that company is the right fit for them. We have networking sessions, and so on. So plenty of personal development and career management advice and guidance as well. So next, we've also built a strong relationships with a wide array of recruiters. Some of them come from leading organizations, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Deloitte, Goldman Sachs. I haven't got the full list at my fingertips right now, but they also extend to large regional companies as well as some really exciting early stage companies and startups. And the third point I'd like to share is, our alumni also pay it forward. They continue getting involved in the program and community for many years after they graduate. For example, through our MBA mentorship program, where we pair up an alum with a student, and they have regular meetings throughout the year. So this is very valuable for our students to get career development guidance or insights into a certain role or industry that they are interested in. With NUS Talent Connect, for example, as well. So our alumni can also post opportunities to recruit students for internships and for jobs after they graduate. Lastly, more informally, students can also tap into our supportive alumni network. So, for example, they can engage with alumni to get them to come in as guest speakers at student club events, to get them to come in as student club mentors, for them to share insights on industries that they're from, and also proactively pursue and explore internship and post-MBA career opportunities.
So I was doing some digging on the alumni network of NUS MBA, and I know NUS Business School has thousands and thousands of alumni, right, at the undergrad level as well. But the business school has MBAs. There's about 2,000, I think. That was the number I found on the NUS.
That's a little money, but sounds like.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Like 20 years of about 100, right? Graduates coming out each year, something like that.
Yeah, it's also because the program's been around for so long, right? So the more recent graduates are the ones that are most engaged, right? And as you know, one of the key challenges is keeping an up-to-date database of alumni. So the further away they are from the program graduation, the bigger the challenge.
Absolutely.
Up-to-date record of where they are.
Absolutely. So one initiative you mentioned, or two actually. One is that alums can post opportunities for current students. The other is there's this pairing process. So every student is paired with an alumni.
This is a voluntary program. Alumni volunteer, and it's managed by our Best Careers Office. So alumni volunteer, and it's optional for students, so they can opt to be on this program, this mentorship.
Got it. Because I think that's just such a huge part of the program, right? Like how connected the alumni are. And yeah. And then I guess just as someone who has shepherded, classes through the program, if you could kind of share with us, with students who come into your program with a sense of direction and who are able to graduate and achieve those aims, like, do they share any common characteristics, or what do you think really helps people succeed in the program and really make the most of their time from a careers perspective?
Yeah, great question. Yeah. So I think, if you look at sense of direction versus sense of purpose, I think sense of purpose is more important because it's more inwardly driven purpose, whereas direction could be more of an outcome, but you may be looking at using the MBA to explore opportunities, right, and to build up their strengths in other areas as well. So what do we see, the qualities that make them successful students? I think firstly, being proactive and being active, being an active member of the learning community, not just learning for yourself, but enhancing the learning for others as well. Number two is collaboration. So with 100 plus students plus our part-time MBA, that's around 200 students, right? So it's still a pretty tight-knit community of MBA learners. So we have a very strong sense of community and collaboration. Our students support each other because of the diversity as well, especially with our part-time students. Some come with families and young kids, and they really need to tap into this very strong support network of their classmates, right? So there's a very strong collaborative spirit within the MBA.
Yeah, I mean, I find myself going back to my first admissions question that I asked you in terms of like traits you're looking for. And maybe those are kind of success factors too, right? Like you mentioned energy, and that kind of seems to be related to activity, resourcefulness, curiosity, being willing to collaborate. I think those are all, sound crucial to me. So, I mean, Wedad, thank you so much for again coming on the show, sharing your insights, sharing your experience. I'm sure our listeners will be very thankful, and hopefully this will, bring some new great participants to your program as well. So, thank you again for coming on the Touch MBA podcast. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Aaron. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to share more insights into the program. And hope this is a great opportunity for candidates to find the right fit, find the right program for themselves.
Thanks for listening to the Touch MBA podcast. Remember, you can get free school selection help and a profile review at touchmba.com. You can also follow us on LinkedIn and Twitter. Just search for Touch MBA.